No, I refuse to start singing, and because I'll do it injustice, wo yo yo yo. But we are very happy to be joined by a recipient of the Hummingbird Gold Medal for outstanding contribution to culture in Trinidad and Tobago in the form of John Arnold, the CEO of the Tobago Festivals Commission. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. How are you?
Not bad at all, Dickie. Thanks a lot for that intro.
I mean, it's just facts. But, but I saw the call for proposals for the Tobago Heritage Festival 2021, and I wanted to have this conversation. So naturally, we'd start off by saying there are things that we can't necessarily speak about, but at the same time, I want us to get into what we can. So we start from the beginning, I guess. So the call for proposals. Yeah. What do you have on the cards right now?
Well, the call for proposals is really an open call to the public in Tobago to submit their applications. These are all emailed to Tobago Heritage Festival at Yahoo. And the deadline is Friday the 26th, Friday, February the 26th at 4 p.m. And all the information is available on our social media pages. And our handle is Tobago Festivals on Facebook. So that's the first thing. That has been out some weeks now. And applications have already been coming in for this. These will be evaluated. And obviously, we're going to be in a virtual environment. The evaluation process will take place after that.
And in terms of the experience of the festival 2020, what are some of the things that you would be drawing from to help influence the form, the shape, the manner that the festival 2021 manifests itself in?
Well, first of all, I think I want to highlight the fact that last year, Heritage, the reach was over 431,000 persons. And we had about 200,000 views. And we had about 19,000 likes, shares, and comments. That really and truly is a big thumbs up for us, which kind of showcased there the creativity, the collaboration with the stakeholders, the TFCL, the resolve to produce, even within the global pandemic. So we had last year several activities that worked for the virtual platform. The radio drama series was a big success, airing like a radio drama, reminding me of Dr. Paul when I was young. Folk Fiesta Challenge was also a virtual platform. Then we had a step-by-step series, which was people giving demonstrations on certain aspects of our culture. That included head wrapping and so on. We had the Tit for Tat series, which ran about the Anansi story, connecting that to some of our cultural activities. We had the curbside pickup, which was in the villages of Blackrock, Delaford, and Pembroke, where we had Yaba and Salaka feast and so on, and Fish Fridays. We also had the Emancipation Concert, Treasure Hunt, which was really a heritage historical hunt, and we had the Grand Tobago Miss Personality show. So I think all in all, we're going to obviously look at the success of some of those, Dickie, and certainly some of the new ones that people would be presenting or submitting. We will certainly see how best we can evaluate all of this. And of course, the big word is pending good funding.
Always. So we'll talk about that funding in just a little bit, but you raised a number of points. So one of them I want to go to with regard to a conversation I had with another Tobago boy in the form of the towel boss, Fet Boss himself, Sherwin Winchester. And he was saying that the pandemic, there were opportunities to be gotten from it. And in the way that it was a big leveler of the playing field to some extent. And it seems as though you share some of those views with regard to the impact or the reach that the festival would have had. And you may not have normally seen this amount of people streaming or consuming it virtually. Is that something that you agree with? And does that also kind of pave the way for more thought to be put on this or a wider audience in a more consistent manner?
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I think what we're going to see going forward, obviously, is this whole issue about hybrid events. The idea that we're going to have a mixture of live and virtual, and we're going to have this as a consistent kind of approach to events going forward. I have seen that the audience, in terms of even Blue Food, right, the reach and the views and the shares have been, I mean, just amazing. What I also like about it is a lot of that material is literally like curated, so that people can see it over and over and over again. People can share it over and over again. The gains from that allows us now to really start looking at the kind of geo-targeting that we need to do now, in terms of targeting specifically those persons that we want to reach online. So I think he's right. The opportunities have been, I mean, just amazing. We had in another organization, the grassroots series, which ran for like 3-4 months, and there were people following it from Guyana, from Grenada, and I mean, just new audiences and people who feel they can relate to what's taking place with what we're doing online. So I think you're on the button there.
But I think even while we're looking at engaging a virtual audience, it also is an opportunity for us to drill down and become a little more grounded in who we are. Because we're still living, we're still creating content, but that content is being curated a little differently. So even while people were in the midst of things, no mask, no this, no that, there were studies done looking at the carnival, and they were saying that some of the things that don't necessarily get exported are some of the things that might have a little more value for us in terms of like traditional characters, in terms of things like Kalinda. And it seems as though these things, these markers of who we are, the Tobago wedding, the Blue Food Festival, hashtag Blue Food Boy, but these things help us see ourselves, and they're also things that can be marketed because you don't have this on every corner that you're looking at outside.
Correct. And I was privileged to have seen the production mass at Napa. Very wonderful idea, and I'm sure you saw Lavway, the video production. You're correct, DK, that it does offer some beautiful opportunities. We are now discussing, for example, with the mud mass fraternity, this aspect of an immersive mud experience to market as a tourism event, meaning these guys we're working on a production documentary, how they go into the forest, how they excavate the mud, how they bring it out. When they bring it out, how they choose the mud to boil. When they boil it, what they put in it, right? To get rid of the impurities and so on. How they spread the mud on the body, right? And then how they play the mass. What is the ritual involved in playing that mud mass? Actually, the guys are boasting that Tobago has the largest mud mass display in the world. And when we did the research, we found a place in Japan that actually does a mud festival. So you are correct. I think there are loads of opportunities to use the virtual platform to make and create some nice awareness of some of those things that exist here. And the traditional mass is one, definitely.
No, Mr. Arnold, I'm telling you, I'm not used to people telling me that that's so correct. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we discuss the festival going forward. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with John Arnold about Heritage Festival, Tobago Heritage Festival 2021. And Mr. Arnold, what are some of the things that you can tell us in terms of moving forward? Because we're looking at the vision for the Tobago Heritage Festival going forward, and naturally we're keeping the pandemic in mind.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the key things is that we are hopeful and very optimistic that the heritage must continue, right, in whatever form. Last year, it was all planned to go the last 2 weeks of July into the 1st of August. And then, of course, we had to face the pandemic head on. I think, as I said, the hybrid events we will have to certainly look at that as a way forward. I can see the Tobago Cocoa House there. This unique situation, I think, caused by COVID-19 presents us the opportunity to think about how we're going to create these local events and create a strategy for doing that. But I think it's important to uphold some of these traditions. And in doing that, I think the idea of marketing Tobagonian culture, some of those things that we want to preserve, but we want to kind of preserve it in such a way that we're passing it on to the younger generation. And certainly, in terms of economic activity for the creative sector, we see it as a very vital area because, as you know, the creatives have been the most hit out of all those in the economy. I think it's one of the hardest hit have been the creatives. So moving forward, we are really hoping that this year we're able to have a wonderful display. It may be a mix of some of those from last year. It may be some new ones, but whatever it is, we are promising that we are going to have Tobago Heritage Festival 2021 and hoping that next year we can go completely live and of course with the streaming on the side.
No, the thing though, I'm asking about, because you started speaking about the funding. How do people become a part of it? How do people say, okay, well, I want to put some money behind this so that I can market my product? Because I think one of the things we're also seeing is having people here a little more locally saying, okay, well, hey, this is possible in Tobago, that is possible in Tobago, and seeing that the content is coming out and people are looking for that kind of content. How do people contact you to do that?
Oh, yeah. Well, they can contact us at the office. If they go on our page at Tobago Festivals on Facebook, they can catch us there. They can also catch us on Instagram. And certainly, all the information is online. They can contact us there. We did attract some corporate sponsorship last year. Even in a hard year like that, you know, just under 500K, we were able to attract from corporate sponsorship for a festival that really did pretty well based on the figures I shared with you earlier. This year, we propose to do the same thing, reach out to our sponsors. There's some sponsors who have been with the Heritage for many years, and we want to continue that relationship even as we move forward in these difficult times. And I would think all those who want to be a part of what we're doing, because I think it's so important, DK, for the preservation of our heritage. Apart from being involved in the TFC in my personal life, I have a real passion about retaining and preserving our folk songs, our folk dances, our folk speeches. And recently, with the speech band we did for the NCC program, one of the key things we're looking at now is when you hear about the speech band in the yard in Bethel, when they used to gather, and speech band long time used to be like extempo, right? It wasn't you make up a speech and go on. It was all extemporaneously done on the spot. And it's amazing how we were talking about trying to live that back and going back to some of the yards in Bethel and so on. So I think there are loads of opportunity to combine technology with what we do in our traditional heritage. And I look forward to the future, I mean, with a great sense of optimism here.
And as do I. And it's amazing because sometimes you realize that so much has not necessarily passed on, has been carried, has been taken through. So like somebody was telling me something, and I tell them, drag him over, Mr. Fiddler. And it was like, what? I'd be like, you're serious? And being able, okay, yes, we have the technology, but something like the pandemic shows us how much it is, or the value of being able to do things, one, for yourself. And I tell people that I'm looking into getting a manual ice cream pail, because apart from just liking ice cream, there's also the social aspect of it. So people in the family, in the house, they have something to do because you're not going here, you're not going there. So with that in mind, I'll ask about the impact on your take of these kind of cultural activities, events. on local, regional, international audiences in addition to what they do within ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I think culture transcends all the boundaries, and I think it connects us all. From the feedback we got at Heritage Festival as well as Blue Food, I think we can say that we did have a wide audience, both local, regional, and international. Also, the diaspora Tobago, diaspora Trinidad had a ball. They had a ball in a COVID period where they were looking to connect with some things that were very Tobagonian. Some of the cultural enthusiasts, and they recognize what we're doing. And I think overall, we want to connect with those persons once again and also create another kind of new audience. People are looking for fresh cultural, traditional sharings or offerings. I think that's what we want to make sure that we can do. And again, making the information available to everybody. I know you're seeing the dance in the cocoa. And there's so much, when you talk to the older folks, they could tell you, I mean, I was interviewing a guy about building mud houses and the songs they used to sing while they plat the mud. And it was interesting, you know. There's so much, I mean, DK, we could talk about this all day, all night. Because there's so much information out there, right? When you talk to the people in Lekoto about seeing policemen who came to lock up someone and then they end up staying in the gallery for 4 days and could not move, you know? And there are whole stories behind that. I mean, just very interesting anecdotes, but really, 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 and truly interesting. As I see the goat race there, 9 feet of rope. Why do they use 9 feet of rope? Right? There's a whole story behind that too, right? In terms of the goat being 9 feet from the handler. All right. So I think there's a lot we can talk, but overall, I think these things we have to do what we're doing to make the people online so interested that they say, hey, I am going to Tobago, I am going to Trinidad and Tobago, because there's something that I want to share and immerse myself in.
By chance, on a chicken fire here, you're expecting a few more people from Trinidad coming over for it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think already you can see lots of visitors from Trinidad are here for various activities. It's happening already. If you miss just to relax, go on the beach and so on. So it is happening, and certainly I think with the vaccine coming and certain things that may get a little bit less tighter and so on, I can see that we have an opportunity to do the hybrid events in a bigger way. I was very impressed with Mass, as I told you, having an audience of 400 persons. Live, I thought that was good, socially distanced and so on, and everybody following the protocols, both artists backstage in their own little bubbles and so on. I thought the idea was really, really fantastic. So, I mean, as I said, DK, I think we have to adopt and adapt, yeah.
And we want to thank you for making the time as we look forward to what the festival will look like for 2021 and beyond. Thank you very much, Mr. Arnold, for giving us that time and giving us a little, whetting our appetites a little bit. And we want to thank you for joining us this evening on behalf of the entire news team. I'm DK Roster. Thanks once more for joining us. Have a good night.